Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Felon is Not an Option channel, where we are taking dives into some of the marriage and family therapy theories that you are likely to be using in your own practice, using with your own clients, as well as you're going to be likely to see them on the MFT National and California exam. I am going to be honest with each and every one of you. When I was studying for my exam, I did not study person-centered therapy. If Diane Gerhardt said that it wasn't going to be on the national exam, I did away with it. But I took a week to study person-centered therapy as well as Gestalt therapy so that I could find the best way to teach it to each and every one of you so that we can get out of those silly books, because sometimes those words are just mumbo jumbo and they just sometimes don't make a lick of sense to us, right? So without further ado, let's dive into person-centered therapy by none other than Carl Rogers. Okay, alrighty. So we're always going to get started with the therapist stance. This is one of your humanistic approaches. And our humanistic approaches do what? They are empathetic. They are what? They are congruent, right? And we are making this presence safe for our clients, right? So the therapist stance as a person-centered therapist is non-directive. Don't think about strategic therapies like Milan and MRI. They tell the clients what to do, what's going to work, what's not going to work. A person-centered therapist does not do that. The client is the expert in their own lives. We don't give advice. Actually, no therapist should really be giving advice, but as a person-centered therapist, we do not give advice. The client is the expert. The therapist views the client as the one who has control, charge, and authority over their own life. That is the therapist stands for, a person-centered therapist. Now, these are some of your core principles of person-centered therapy. And I actually studying for this model, I love it, because it is just so genuine. That's another term as well for person-centered therapy. Unconditional positive regard. Now, I have heard about this before, but I took a deep dive into just really understanding it. But unconditional positive regard, that therapist is completely accepting that client. No judgment, no criticism. When you accept that client, you are inviting them into an environment that this client feels safe in, and they are able to explore and experience some of their issues or problems more freely, right? So, empathy, that is also one of the core principles, right? The therapist deeply understands the client's experiences, and they communicate that understanding right back to them, right? Excuse me, I'm gonna silence my every time. Okay, alrighty. Client autonomy, right? This is, the client is seen as the expert of their own life, right? Again, the therapist is not telling the client what to do. The therapist is not leading, the client is. The person-centered therapist is just a facilitator, not the director, not like strategic therapy where they're telling the clients what to do. We just facilitate the session. The person-centered therapist is just going to facilitate, right? One of the major core principles of person-centered therapy is self-actualization. And this is the belief that each and every one of us have, right? We know what it is that we need to do to move towards that growth and that fulfillment that we want and need in our lives. In turn, we're going to find our worth, right? We are going to find our worth, right? But sometimes people don't view themselves as having that. So a person-centered therapist is there to help you freely explore and facilitate to get to that, right? Some of the goals of person-centered therapy, that the client will develop a greater sense of self-awareness. They want you to be self-aware. What's going on within your body right now? What emotions are you feeling right now? What thoughts are you having right now in this present moment, right? Self-acceptance and self-trust. Trust within yourself. Accept, this issue has occurred. This problem is here. I accept that, right? But I also have to have that self-trust. And the thing about it is, that's why it's so important for that environment to be trust. It needs to be trustworthy for that client to freely explore everything that is going on with them without feeling judged or criticized, right? Removing the conditions of worth imposed by others. I love that, right? Because a person-centered therapist, we're not worried about validations from other people. We don't need validation from other people, right? We don't need to find our worth depending on what somebody else thinks, feel, or do. It's all coming from us. That's why we have that self-acceptance and that self-trust that we have within ourselves. We don't need other people. The client is going to initially make their own choices and find their own solutions. You don't need anybody else for that, because a person-centered therapist believes that we all have that innate drive to do that all on our own. We don't need somebody else to do that, right? Key interventions. Now, here it is. Unconditional positive regard, yes, that is an intervention. And again, that is you creating that safe space for that client to be able to explore their feelings, their issues in a safe way. No judgment, no criticism. And you're going to hear that a lot, because this model is really big on that, right? Empathy. Again, the therapist empathizes with the client's feelings and the experiences in a deeper level, and it's like a more deeper understanding of what that client is going through and what that client is feeling. Congruence is major in your humanistic approaches. We, as the therapist, are genuine. We are real. We are ourselves when it comes to therapy, right? The here and now, major. This is big. It is what's happening now. It's not in the past, right? It's not the future. It's right now. Right in that therapy room, what is that client feeling? What is that client experiencing in real time? And one of the examples, I noticed you seem hesitant as you share this with me. What's happening for you right now? And that question can just open up so much that's going on right there in that therapy room, right? I noticed that sometimes when you talk about your mom, you start tapping your leg. I noticed that sometimes when you talk about your dad, you shift your body in a seat. What's happening for you right now? That's that here and now experience, right? And if you're going to be focusing on that here and now experiences, we have to be actively listening and reflecting with our clients, because the client wants to know that, hey, we are listening. And hey, you're not judging me, right? You're not criticizing me for what I have, right? So we are just restating and paraphrasing what our client is saying to us, because that client needs to know, well, is she really listening to me right now? Does she understand what I'm saying? Right? So a client may say this: I feel like I can't do anything right. But then here it is. The therapist is going to reflect those feelings and help that client hear exactly what they are saying. And it sounds like you're carrying a lot of self-doubt and frustration with yourself, right? So it's just restating, and then we're just paraphrasing, because we want our clients to hear exactly what they are saying, because if they can hear exactly what they are saying, then we know what's going on, and we are going to move towards what? That self-actualization. We can't be stuck in those same patterns, and we'll get to that part too. Now, these are the phases of therapy. In the initial phase of therapy, it's what? That is that unconditional positive regard, where we are building a safety, a safety place, a trusting place where the client can explore their feelings freely without what? Judgment and criticism. And I told you were going to hear that a lot, right? Because that client may already be presenting with what? Self-doubt, confusion, self-criticism, no self-worth. We have to be the one that's going to create that environment for them as soon as they arrive. And the way that we do that, we use what? Active listening, validation. And we're also going to be building rapport with that client right from the very beginning. In the middle phase, this is the self-understanding. So now the client should be, expressing themselves more freely because you've built that safety net for them to explore more freely as they are in therapy with you, right? So we are going to be looking at that deeper self-awareness. We want this client to say like, hey, that deeper self-awareness that you're having, and then we want you to process that through your emotions, right? And in the middle phase of therapy, the client is starting to challenge their condition of worth and the old patterns, right? Well, maybe she's right. Why do I, do this? Why do I do this? Or why do I feel this way? Start to challenge it because you're expressing yourself more freely. We're taking a deeper dive into those feelings that you're having, those thoughts that you may have or whatever. And then we're just like moving towards our own inner resources that we have. Because why? We don't need validation from other people. We have what we need right in here that's going to get us there, right? And then the interventions, it's just deeper feelings, the self-perception. That is the whole, you came in feeling this way, you were telling me you can't do anything right. Do you realize that it's not like you not doing anything right? It's that self-doubt that you have. It's now I need you to see the perceptions that you are presenting with, right? The late phase, again, this is your consolidation. This is the growth that you're having, helping them, finally be able to work on themselves without the help of the therapist, right? So the self-acceptance, that congruence we're going to have, the less relying on external validation, which is those outsiders. I don't need you don't have to validate me. I can do that. I know my worth. I can do this myself. I don't need that validation from you, right? Life choices, you're going to make them on your own. That's going to be aligned with your values and your beliefs. You don't need to be worrying about what somebody else wants you to do with your life choices. You can do that all on your own, right? And those interventions reflect growth. And again, that autonomy piece. That autonomy is so crucial. We want our clients as a person-centered therapist to make those choices on their own, to be free with the choices that they are going to make. We are not directors, we are facilitators as a person-centered therapist, right? Ownership of your choices, insight within the choices that you are making. We don't need anybody else to do that. We have that innate ability to do that all on our own. Now, I know it's a lot. Don't forget, these are just some of the key terms to person-centered therapy. And again, there it is, that unconditional positive regard. We've covered that. We accept our clients. I don't care what your issue is. I don't care how you feel about this. I don't care what you have or whatever. I am going to accept you. No judgment, no criticism. Empathy. And since I'm not judging you and I'm not criticizing you, I am understanding that this is what's going on, and I am understanding, your feelings that you have within this inner world that you are in, and I understand that. We're just going to freely explore that within the safety net of this therapy office, right? Congruence. I am real with my clients. Always have been. I keep it 100 with my clients all the time, and I ask them, well, can I be real with you? And they say, yes, please do. So, hey, I'm congruent all the time, right? Self-actualization. We all have that drive to grow. We all know what it is that we need to do to fulfill our own potential. We can live authentically. We don't have to mimic, copy, be like somebody else. I want to be like me. I'm not trying to be like nobody else, because let me tell you something. I love Carrie, okay? I love exactly who I am. I am authentic. This is the real me. And the way that I am on these videos, you should see me in person. You should see me in real life, okay? Alrighty. And what else? Here and now focus. Very, very huge. Please, you see a question for person-centered therapy. Don't choose a response that says childhood traumas, childhood histories, and no, it's here and now experiences. What is going on in that therapy office right then and there? Non-directive approach. We are facilitators. We do not direct. The client leads. The client is the expert of their own life. We don't do that. We don't tell them what to do. You're doing this wrong. If you're doing it wrong, what do you think that you can do that is going to make a change in order that's going to get you to where you're trying to get to? That's all. I'm not giving you advice. I'm asking you. We are freely exploring that, okay? Alrighty. Now, the rest of those terms, go ahead and take a look at them. A lot of these terms, it's not really like the core features of them, especially in whose book was it? I can't remember if it was Eli Karam's or Valeni's book. A lot of those wasn't in there, but I did some more research on my own just to make sure that I was trying to cover everything for each and every one of you. And I can provide these PDF formats, because I have these as PDF formats. If you need them, ask me for them and I can give them to you. These are the 7 stages of person-centered therapy, okay? And we're just going to take just a brief overlook of each of them. The first stage, rigidity. This is the client, they're defensive. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. You got the problem. I don't have the problem. They have no self-awareness, right? And then again, that therapist, that unconditional positive regard. Okay, well, you don't. We're still going to just, explore what's going on in a safe and trusting environment, right? Slight awareness of the problem. Now that client is like, well, maybe she's right. She probably got a point, right? And then that therapist is reflecting those feelings, validating those experiences, but still at the same time, don't be telling your client, I told you so. We're not doing that. Not for the slight awareness of problems. Don't do that. We're non-judgmental, right? Slight self-exploration. Now the client's personal feelings still a bit distant still a bit distant, kind of like really just trying to, be careful, with what they're saying or what they're going to express. And then again, that therapist, I need to go deeper. I am still showing you empathy and I am still actively listening to you, but I'm not being judgmental and I'm not criticizing you, right? Increased self-expression. More openly, the client is going to be talking about their feelings and they're going to be recognizing some of those patterns, right? And then as they explore more openly, they're going to start having some emotions and some feelings are going to be coming to the surface. So in that present moment, that therapist is going to be like, what's going on? What's going on right there? What's happening right now for you, right? Experiencing feelings in the present, emotions as they arise, and they are going to take more ownership of that, right? So then now we're still staying present and we're reflecting on those emotions, but then we have to integrate those emotions and those feelings into the experience that they are having. Again, same as the increased self-expression in that present moment. The rest of these are just like present moments. Present moment things, here and now that's happening in the session, providing acceptance, providing a safe space, accepting and owning feelings, accepting and owning the feelings without constantly saying, well, that's not true and I don't have this and no, that can't be this. They're being more congruent. Now I'm being more authentic. I'm not denying who I am. I'm not denying my worth. I'm not denying myself. I accept and I am owning without denial, right? Self-acceptance is key. The therapist is going to help them do that. It's okay to accept. This is your experience. This is what's going on. Accept that, and let's get you to where I know that you want to be. I know your worth that you want to be at, right? Full openness to the experience. This client is leaving authentically, open to everything, but at the same time, we are not seeking validation from someone else. We're not seeking advice from someone else, because now I am open to all of my experience. I am self-accepting of what has gone on with me. I know what it is that I need to do, right? Client, it's like I'm living this life. Like I said, my self-worth, my self-actualization, I'm here, baby, okay? And then that therapist is going to continue to offer what? Unconditional positive regard. I'm still accepting you, who you are now, no judgment, no criticism, right? This is person-centered therapy. And just to recap, empathy, unconditional positive regard. We are creating safe environments for our client to freely express everything that they have going on with them without judgment, without criticism. We are present with them in that moment, paying attention to their body language, their cues that they're saying, some of the words that they might be using in that present moment. Person-centered therapy do not dig in the past. Presently, here and now experiences is person-centered therapy. This is one of your humanistic approaches. We are not directive. We do not tell our clients what to do, right? We are what? Facilitators, and the client is the expert. I hope this video worked out for each and every one of you. If I have made a mistake in anything that I have taught in this video, please leave me a comment. Please send me a message on Facebook so that I can fix it. I do not want to give anyone false information. I did study this model for like a week to just have this kind of like slight understanding of it so that it's not so overwhelming to everyone, because truth be told, there is a lot of information for the humanistic approaches, but I don't want to overdo it. Okay, I don't want to confuse anyone. This is just the gist of it, right? Okay, so I hope each and every one of you have a great rest of your evening. Please leave me a comment, leave me a message. Please subscribe to this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, share my channel with anyone who is also on their path to taking the MFT national exam, or if they are still in school, to just give them the little push up before they do get there. I hope each and every one of you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you all soon.